Lessons learned. I was asked to talk about how to scale an engineering organization. A little bit about Index as it is. Index Exchange is an ad tech company, and this is the display ad. When you go to the Global Mail, there's ads across the top, there's ads down the side. That page actually reaches out to our servers for every one of those, what we call slots. We run we run an auction with creative suppliers, advertisers. Every one of those auctions runs in about 150 milliseconds. That's our deadline on getting the auction completed and getting the creatives back to the page. To do that, we have 8 data centers. We have 6,000 servers worldwide running auctions. We run about 70, actually that says 70, it's really 80 billion auctions a day as of a few days ago. That turns out to be about 700 billion requests that go out to creative suppliers, so it's about a 10-to-1 ratio. All that runs really fast. As I said, 150 milliseconds, 80 billion of them a day. We bring back 100 terabytes of telemetry from our data centers a day into our downtown data center here in Toronto. That's a lot of data. That's 12,000 4K movies equivalent in a day. So how do we do that? Well, I've got about 200 engineers right now. We've hired 80, I think what is it, 86 of them this year so far. That's both replacements, because there was always some churn, plus new faces. How do you make that all mesh? So, a couple of years ago, we decided to move from the old waterfall style of agile development into the new agile software framework that allows us to break the teams up into smaller segments. We do full stack teams with product and release engineering on the front and back ends of them, so that it allows them to be much more self-organized and gives us the ability to gives them the ability to be more self-directed. And we really need that when we're growing out that quickly, because there's no way I can do a command and control style engineering organization. I want to make sure that they understand what the vision is. And so I spend a lot of time talking about the vision of the company and talking about what products we're building and why we're building them. And one of the things we did this last year, specifically when I took over as CTO, was to switch engineering from a very systems-based organization. The teams were organized around the systems they worked on, the data layer, the auction layer, the partner UI layer. We switched them instead to be much more business value oriented. So now the teams are built into what we call product delivery units, with product on the top and release engineering on the bottom and all the engineers in the middle, so that they get to understand the value of the products that they're delivering, and that gives them a better vision and allows them to be much more self-directed and self-organized. It's the only way to build, I don't know if it's the only way, it's the way we're building quickly and the way we're growing quickly. I mentioned that we hired 86 engineers just in the last year. We're not stopping. We're a full hiring machine, and we're going to continue to hire continuously, in fact, probably as fast as we can for quite some time to come. Because we've got lots of things we want to continue to build. As Alex mentioned, I didn't actually start at Index as the CTO. I started off running operations because I came in to build a DevOps culture at Index. Now, DevOps for me means doing full delivery pipelines from engineering directly out into production without operations being in the way. Building methodologies in production where they can not only test their code well so that in their continuous integration pipeline they're working well, but also so that when they get to production they can fail safely. So we have methodologies to allow them to put bad code in production and it doesn't hurt us. And that again allows us to have the ability to have rapidly growing teams that we've brought in that may not understand the full ecosystem, and they can produce bad code, but we don't care because it'll always fail safely for us. The slide's not there? Because it's a build. I don't do builds. So how do you do this? Bring in diversity of thought. Bring in lots of different people with lots of different ideas. Hire all the way up and down the experience chain. So it's experienced people and new grads all the time. Train your teams and invest in agile. We brought in agile coaches. We hired a bunch of agile coaches. We put all of our teams through a 2-week intense agile training program just to get everybody on the same page as to what agile really means, because everybody's got a different definition of that. Create and develop that DevOps culture. Give your engineers interesting problems to work on. That whole understanding of what the business value that they're generating is really motivates them and gets them working for you, not you pushing them to work. Thank you. And we're hiring, always.
Stand up!
Questions?
Go in here to the left.
So,
Hi. So I guess scaling rapidly and moving from waterfall to agile at the same time it's a pretty big challenge that a lot of companies fail at.
I've been at 2 other companies that failed at it.
So what's that key difference between when it fails versus when it really succeeds and starts actually getting stuff done faster?
You have to be willing to slow down to speed up. When you're making an agile transformation, you are going to slow down. Your engineering organization is not going to produce as quickly as it could. So you have to take that into account, and you have to convince your senior management that that's going to happen, your CEO in my case. But at the same time, the places where I was where it failed because they really didn't have the C-level buy-in to push the vision down into the company. We have that buy-in, at least at my level, at my VP level, at my engineering directors. We understand that we really need to push that down and to give the teams time. Bringing in the agile coaches, bringing in the trainers really has made a huge difference to us. Train not only your engineers, but train your management layer, train your director layer so that they understand the value prop.
My name is Vlad. I'm just curious specifically about infrastructure. So when usually companies are trying to deliver stuff much faster to the customer, they going for basically 2 ways. So the first way is trying to build your own infrastructure, or other way is basically trying to buy it on one of major providers. And I'm pretty much sure we're not really far away from one of them, right? And I guess Azure
We use no cloud.
Yeah. So I know that Index Exchange is actually growing rapidly for the last, I guess, 10 years. And you said it's already 8 or 6 data centers, right? So why you're actually going kind of like into your own space? Why are you trying to build your own infrastructure? What's actually reasoning behind it? Thank you.
So there's 150 milliseconds is a really short period of time. So that requires us to really fine-tune our application from a latency perspective. There's a lot of complexity of running your own infrastructure that the cloud abstracts away from you, but by abstracting it away, they also abstract away the ability for you to optimize. So I can't even get in and out of AWS East in less than half the time I have to run an auction. So I just can't do it. There are lots of other things that are not latency sensitive that I could be in the cloud for, and there are reasons why I'm not that really don't hold a lot of weight. But from the auction perspective, those 8 data centers worldwide, those 6,000 servers, that's all latency. We optimize the hell out of it.
Last question.
Hey, it's Ricky again from Source Code Staffing. You mentioned you hired 86 developers over the past year. What are some of your biggest challenges when it comes to access to talent, and how'd you mitigate those?
You want to stand up, Cherney? Cherney's in the room here. She's the head of my recruiting team. She's been amazing. So that she's helped me get over those challenges. But the biggest challenge is, I could have done this talk from that side. I thought about it. I mean, just talk about how to recruit. But Toronto's a hot market. It's, you just have to convince people that we're going to give them really interesting problems to work on, and that we have a culture that they're going to enjoy working in. We spend a lot of time doing that. We bring in lots of people to talk to. Tierney's actually got a pipeline running for me right now that's getting between 10 and 12 new hires a month, but that's a lot of work to do. We have interview panels. We have standard interviews standard questions that we use. We dig for culture more than for talent. I mean, for skills, you can learn skills. I don't know. I'm in Montreal. I'm making a big bet in Montreal. I'm in KW. We're here in Toronto. About half of engineering is in Toronto. The rest of it's split between the other two. Seriously thinking about opening up new offices in new cities because I want to be able to tap into new talent. I love Toronto. It's a great market. It's got great engineers. It's been, Bloomberg published an article about 18 months ago that said that Toronto had added more high-tech jobs than Silicon Valley, Washington, D.C., and Boston combined. Fast Company? No, Financial Times? One of them, I don't remember, just published an article this spring that added New York City to that list. We are the fastest growing tech area, tech group, tech city in the world right now. That's both exciting and challenging if you're trying to hire talent in this market. So we just convinced them we've got really good, interesting problems, and we come give talks here.
Cool. Thank you.
Yes.
Cool. Thank you.